the situation in the country, and there's so many aspects to it. And I'm talking really here about the economy at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's about the economy and, shall we say, the reforms that the Tinubu administration is bringing to bear. The reforms are getting accolades, you know, left, right, and center. But that does not mean that they're not tough. It's just that business leaders, especially in the private sector, are wholeheartedly adopting President Tinubu's stance and are saying that indeed, as I said, the private sector, they are well pleased with some of those bold and tough decisions that are being made. Now, that's what we thought we'd talk about today. The bold decisions that are coming out, they're bold, they're tough, and indeed, President Tinubu himself said that, look, these actions are going to be painful in the immediate and medium term, but ultimately, everybody will benefit from them. And in any case, we don't have a choice. It's almost as if he likened the economy to being in a nosedive, and that is when he has taken over. And we've just got to straighten the craft. We've just got to take it out of the nosedive. And of course, you begin to understand that most people do already know that, yeah, it's going to be tough, but there is no alternative. Later on, I'll be sharing some quotes of President Tinubu. He said that it's not even about us right now. It's not about him. It's not about you. It's about generations yet unborn. That is the work that has to start from now. So it's in that context that we'll be looking at some of the very bold decisions that have been made. My guests in studio here, Mr. Taiwo Olakpade is a broadcast journalist and public affairs analyst. Thank you, as always, for coming on, Taiwo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed, it's my pleasure.
Yes,
and remotely, all the way over in Texas, I'm not sure if it's Houston because there's more than Houston to Texas, but all the way in Texas is Nosa Osaiku. Nosa Osaiku is a certified project manager and was member of the, he's a member of the Nigerian Human Rights Community, and he was also a member of the Presidential Campaign Council. So a fine morning to you, Nosa. Okay, well, you know, sometimes distance causes that kind of a situation. So let's start. Actually, we're taking this from when President Tinubu opened the MBA conference, remember? And they had set for themselves getting it right, charting the course of Nigeria's nation building. And the president was delighted because he had referred to it as extremely apt, extremely relevant. And that's because of what we're going to be talking about now. One of the things he said at the NBA conference is relevant for us. We're not talking about the NBA. Of course, the NBA is also a partner in progress. We're all in it together. But Tinubu, speaking to Nigeria, and Nigerians, was saying that we got to change our mindsets and let us move Nigeria forward. That immediately tells you, doesn't it, that some tough measures, because the mindset that we're talking about, we already were enjoying our subsidy on fuel. You know, we were getting petrol the way it was. Well, that's one of the ways we say change. We got to change our mindset. The forex, the whole forex issue, we already had our mindsets on there. There are people who were cutting away what they were cutting away. The rest of us were just looking. Now that is not going to be the same as before. But would you like to comment on how you see this, these measures like that, and similar taxation regimes that have now been sort of streamlined? In short, listening to the private sector and indeed engaging them as partners in progress.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to start by saying that the theme of the NBA 63rd annual conference currently holding in Abuja tallies with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President.
That's why I said it was extremely apt.
A call for a better Nigeria, as he put it in the 74-page document, in which his electionary campaign was largely, captured on. And speaking at that, the conference of the NBA in Abuja, the president told them that he's all out to ensure, to change the narrative in the system. And it was so emphatic about the fact that, making a change definitely will surely come with some pains. Just like Yoruba will say, titari roll and collar. But toba di ogeton, toba juna doge, but I don't know how to translate it, you know.
So some things are very difficult in the making of them, but then you enjoy them massively later on.
Thank you for coming to my rescue. So I'm saying that, and he also said Nigerians should not expect a change overnight, that we have to sacrifice. Sincerely, I could not but agree totally with that position of Mr. President. But the questions many Nigerians are also asking is, for how long are we going to sacrifice? What is the timeline for us to start seeing the dividends of democracy, seeing the benefits of the massive vote he enjoyed during the February 25th presidential election that that made him the president of the Federal Republic of India as we speak right now. So I sincerely agree with the comment made by the president at the NBA conference, because as we speak right now, we know there are so many measures put in place to ensure that we change the narrative and we get it right. We know where we are coming from, like the Minister for Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, said that the current situation is not smiling, is not palatable enough, that they need to put in more work, more efforts to ensure that the promise made by President Tinubu during the electionary campaign can quickly, reach the millions of Nigerians that voted for him at that February 25th election.
I think they've started the work because Wale Edun, I think it was, who was saying, if not one of the other ministries, that look, we don't want to borrow anymore.
Yes,
I mean,
he said it emphatically.
Yes, we're not going to be borrowing
because
anymore.
We have been borrowing ever since,
yes,
not even to pay back our loan, but to service the loan.
And even to just run our affairs.
Service the loan.
Exactly, you can't do that.
You can't be borrowing for consumption. You borrow to finance capital projects, not for paying salary, paying allowances. And Wale Edun has said, and hand has come to that, we are not going to do any borrowing that is not genuine again, and that we have to look inward and generate more money to do the needful regarding the nation's economy.
And we'll even come to the fact that, look, for whatever, let it be said that we would actually be making, we're actually going to be making more money now.
Sure.
Look at all that has been saved from the removal of fuel subsidy. Yeah, that's a painful one.
That's about 400 million on a monthly basis.
Yes. I mean, when you begin to look at it all over the place, I think some people are calculating that somewhere in the region of ₦1 trillion might actually be, being made per month. But I don't know. I think we can now make contact with Nosa Osaiku, a certified project manager. He's joining us from remotely from Houston. Good morning, Nosa.
Good morning, Yori. How are you doing?
Oh, okay then. There you go. There you are. Thank you very much for making the time for us this morning. We know it's morning to us, and it's also morning, very, very morning to you. So thank you for making the effort. Now we're talking about the tough actions and that are going to come, and that actually we began to, we actually know about those tough actions. It started from the very first day. Yes, there have been critics, but it started from the very first day when fuel subsidy was gone. That was a very dramatic one, but it's not the only one. And you had not quite joined us when I was saying that the president, speaking at the NBA conference, had praised the NBA's theme. He had referred to it as very apt and very, very appropriate, which means that it coincides very much with the renewed hope agenda. So I wanted you to speak to the tough times ahead that Tinubu said, there's no way we escape it. It might be tough in the initial stage, in the what is it now? In the short and medium scale, medium term. But at the end of it all, we will benefit from all of that. And the point that he actually also did make that it's not really about you or me or indeed himself, but about generations yet unborn that can only benefit from us doing the foundational work around now. It's too late, but better late than never. Talk to that, if you will, please.
Thank you very much, Yori. It's a pleasure to join you guys today and make my own contributions regarding the issues you just mentioned. The president was very correct in his assertion. And frankly speaking, when I listened to the speech, I was heartened because I heard the president made use of the word mindset. A change of mindset will be required even as we go through this process.
Yes. To paraphrase him, he had said, change your mindset. Let us move Nigeria forward.
Forward, exactly. Yes. You will recall in my last appearance on your show, I talked about culture change. Change of mindset specifically means that the president is saying we as Nigerians must change our mindset as we strive to move this nation forward. Yes, it is true that the president has made some tough decisions since coming into office. But what I would enjoin Nigerians to do is to allow for some patience. It is important now that at the very early stages, things are going to be tough. But as the Holy Book says, and even in my native state of Edo, we always say that the end of a thing is better than the beginning of a thing. So the initial process might be tough and rough. But if we as a nation stays the course, the reforms that this president has proposed will serve Nigeria well and help transform our economy to work for the majority of our people. And I'll give you one or two instances here. The removal of the oil subsidy was a very painful process, but it was the right process and it needed to be done. Now, what is now left, which the president and his administration has already started working on, is to introduce some palliatives to cushion some of the harsh effects. But no doubt that this process was being exploited by some unscrupulous individuals within and outside our borders at the detriment of our nation and economy. So the country will be recouping large amount of resources from this deregulation, and that money can now be plowed back into our economy. Secondly, I mentioned on my last appearance on your show that one of the things that the president...
Okay, it does look as if there are issues there. We just briefly lost, I hope it is briefly, we briefly lost Musa there. We'll connect back with him. Okay, but to continue the theme, look, there are quite a number of things. One of the issues, one of the problems is that this dependence on the petroleum sector, well, thank God for it, we have it there. But Tinubu is saying that we can't just depend on that. And other people have said so as well before him. But you can see the moves that he is making to indeed address that particular situation. There are going to be new sources of revenue. I'm just imagining, by the time you look at the whole blue economy thing that has now been brought center stage, by the time you look at tourism, by the time you look into solid minerals, all of which have existed before, but now that ministries are being created for them, it shows the focus that's going to be on them and that they must be working maximally. So there's going to be a lot coming in from there. But I suppose side by side with all of this is It can't be business as usual where people were stealing our commonwealth, where all of this was being siphoned into, unscrupulous pockets. Nosa was saying something about the very fuel thing that we've removed. Some people have immediately begun to investigate what can be done about it. So this is a new, it's a new regime, and that's the change of the mindset that Tinubu was admonishing Nigerians to adopt. That whatever it was before that was all easy going. Well, we've got to change all of that. It's not going to be easy from now on, but we're working for our future, the future of our country. So more money will come in. Already, I'm sure it is coming in. But many people would have been very, surprised by we won't be borrowing anymore because we become used to it and we think that's the way of life. Yes, economists have always told us that some borrowing is indeed indispensable. You need that. But here is the private sector telling us that, so far so good. Carry on. These are some of the things that we wanted. But of course, we've not been a part of it or we've been shut out. But now these things are different.
Well, in terms of borrowing that the Minister for Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun made mention of, I'm not speaking for the government, but I want to believe that maybe this aspect of borrowing, maybe for now, we won't go the way of borrowing. And that's the reason why, like you rightly mentioned, we now have some new ministries created for the purpose of creating more jobs for Nigeria and also more opportunities for government to also rake in more revenue. Ministry of Tourism, for instance, we know the potentials of the tourism sector in the country. We have so many side attractions that we are yet to develop. You remember the Obudu Ranch during the former governor in Rivers State. We have not been hearing so much about it any longer. We know in terms of solid minerals, we know what is happening in some northern states in the country, like Nasarawa, Adamawa. We hear a lot about people who are tapping into these natural resources without regular license, either from the state or even from the federal government. These are some of the things that government are also looking into.
That's why
to ensure that holistically we can bring all this together and create more opportunities for us to generate more money. Look at the new Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. Definitely, we know the potentials. We have rivers. We have rivers all around our country. We know the percentage of river, of water, so to say, that we have in the country. Have we done much? Have we maximized this opportunity in the past? No, we have not. So the president is looking into many of these areas and ensuring that what the Minister for Finance talked about, we are not going to go for borrowing, unnecessary borrowing at the moment, at the initial stage of this government. I think I want to believe that we are going to be having more success story in this regard. And then I'm also aware that government is also talking about the need to also collapse all the generating agencies of government like FRS, the Nigerian Port Authority, the NNPC, and the likes. They want to ensure that they have one, just like we have this single treasury system, the STA, remember? They want to, TSA rather.
What do I say? What? Sorry. Treasury single account.
Single account. So they are looking into possibility of ensuring that we have all this money that are being generated, particularly for the agencies that generate revenue, we go into one same account to block all the loopholes.
That's why the coordinating minister of the economy, which is not brand new. We've had it be Okonjo-Iweala was that as well. But with these, probably Wale Edun will be having more to coordinate than Okonjo-Iweala had to. All of which is good because there have been these innovations. It's been very, very creative. This administration has been very, very creative according to those who know about such things as it relates to the economy. But I hear that Nosa is back. Nosa, good to hear that you're back. Can you hear us, Nosa?
Yes, very well. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yes, we understand. Would you like to pick it up, where you dropped out, if you know that place? Or otherwise, you were Actually, what you were doing was that you were setting the scene about some of the things that you had pointed out in your last appearance on our program that also...
Yes. So in following the points I was making, that the president is really doing exactly what some of us had advocated for. He is trying to provide the correct perspective to Nigerians and also say that for this government to succeed, it will require a buy-in from every facet of the Nigerian population. We all must work together to move Nigeria forward. And the president has outlined his vision, and he has also tasked the ministers, the various ministers. And I'll say this here. For the first time in my adult lifetime, a Nigerian president is actually being responsive to the yearnings and criticisms of the Nigerian people. That is a first. And I think Nigerians must be heartened that this president wants to go down in history as the greatest president in the history of Nigeria. And why do I say this? When the president came out with his cabinet list, it was obvious that the Niger Delta Ministry was no longer to be a ministry. But many in the Niger Delta community were not happy with that. They complained and they reached out, and the president made a reassessment and appointed a minister for the Niger Delta Ministry. That is a good thing. We've never had that in the history of our country, whether during the civilian government or during the military era, where people will say, this is what we want, and government will respond immediately. Now, going back to the change of mindset, it is very important, and the president has spoken to this on many occasions, that every Nigerian reassesses themselves, both from the truck pusher to the plumber, to the governor, and to the president, to say on a daily basis, how does my action today help to move our nation forward? So as we go about our daily lives, we must always put our country forward.
Indeed.
So we say, God, country, and family. And I believe that at the end of the day, Nigerians will begin to reap the dividends of this democracy. It's going to take some time.
It will.
There will be some rough patches. So at the end of the day, I can see the light. And I believe that our people should give the president the time for the reforms to take place.
Well, that's it right there. The people need to give the president the time for these reforms to take hold. But Tinubu is not unaware that we are people. People, they just have, they don't suffer pain, gladly. That is a fact. But they can identify with you, and so far, I think most people have been identifying with the efforts of this administration because they can see what is going on, and they can see that, this looks like it's a bit different. The other thing, of course, is that, as I said, he said that Nigeria, not to overstate it, people talk about Lee Kuan Yew and his attitude to his country. There's a sense in which you can see aspects of that in, what, this administration is saying, that every hand has to be on deck. But because we're people, we hurt. And they are not unaware of that. They're talking about palliatives, talking about making things better, because we have to bring the poverty alleviation aspect into all of this. The people are going to be looking for... So what I hear you, Mr. President. I hear you, Mr. The Tinubu administration. But what's in it for me? And there indeed, has been, something, but, people would like it to be a lot faster. And I think he has served the notice that nothing is going to be able to happen between today and tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that work won't be going on. I think it was Elumelu who said in the report on his visit to the president that the foundation is not necessarily the most beautiful part of a structure. And indeed, for that matter, you don't even see very much of it. But the foundation is indispensable in it. So people want something out of this. Palliatives, help me a bit. I can't get credit. Nobody is going to do anything for me. So before we come away from you, because I'm really a bit jittery, I don't want us to now be talking and then you go away. Speak to that, please, before we come back to studio.
Okay. Yes, I think the connection is more stable now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is important. Yes, it is important that the palliatives get to the destination, gets to those who they were designed and intended for. And I think this president, the way they have started, Nigerians can be rest assured that these palliatives will get to them. It may not be immediate, okay, because Nigerians are used to instantaneous gratification and benefits. They want to see the results and they want to see it now. But this will take some time. So, but what this president has started doing, which I think will all go well for this nation, is that if in 3 to 6 months they see that the results, the desired results are not being achieved, they will reassess and then make some adjustments to ensure that people get the services that they require. But what I will say here is this, because I don't know, it appears that some of the president's men do listen to your show, is that we should work on how we can bring down the cost of fuel, not by reducing the price, but rather by creating an alternative. And I think the president and his administration has alluded to that with these liquefied natural gas and CNG that is now being customized to help reduce the cost for those who would adopt it. And in addition to that, ethanol is a huge resource that we can embrace and adopt. In the United States, for instance, we use as much as 15% ethanol blend with our gasoline. So if, for instance, in Nigeria, we can adopt a 20% mandate, per liter of fuel, that will reduce the price of fuel by as much as 25%.
Indeed.
Without introducing additional resources in the economy, that will bring down prices. That's the palliative.
Indeed. No, sir, I got to take a break, but stay with us, please, because we'll continue with this conversation when we come back. There's Taiwo Olapade in studio as well. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat. It's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to traveling far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos State government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
We tell you stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salamadeniyi. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Politics is defined as getting what, where, when, and how. But in the mix, many things come to play to shape the political fortune of any country.
Honorable Minister, that's how you disinform the public.
From the political actors to the electorate, campaign to voting, from debates to policy decisions, big events happen to engage us in constant conversation.
That's what we're looking for. Not some people who are talking about ethnicity. No.
Who is on your mind?
Don't worry.
Join me every day on Politics Tonight, where we dissect issues that shape our political destiny. Politics Tonight, weekdays on TVC News.
It's not your regular show. It's an online interactive session where we share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more. I am passionate about our country. I choose to support any conversation geared towards building a better Nigeria. I am Babajide Kolade Otutoju. Join me every Saturday on TVC News YouTube channel as I discuss Nigeria and the world at large on the show, Issues with Jide.
Okay, welcome back. And so we're looking at the new, quite frankly, the economic reforms of the Tinubu administration and poverty reduction, the strategies that can be brought to bear. Everybody is seeing that we spoke, for some time at the on the other side of the program We spoke about the fact that, you know, all these bold decisions were being taken. They're good for us. They say a doctor has to be, wicked to be kind or something like that, so you understand it. It's when the wound is being dressed, it's not the most enjoyable feeling, but you certainly do like it once you're healed. But, you know, away from that, palliatives, so-called, something to assist us, to assist the people, is what the people are also going to be needing. That will be government showing that it has a human face, because at the end of the day, we got to get on with our lives. So people will complain that there's no way you do that, there's no way it won't happen. But perhaps the complaints will be reduced because the complaints will be coming from those who don't fully understand it. And a hungry man is an angry man. Now, these palliatives, we have had some of them. There was a time when there was a whole idea of, 8,000 naira per household, that kind of thing. But that, I think, has been shifted, and now there's different arrangements where money is going direct to the governors for onward deployment. Now, they have to really get their processes down pat, don't they? Because even though it's not business as usual, we can't afford to take our eye off the ball. You know, we can't, because or any of the inefficiencies that crop in, that it might even be mistaken, all of these things are going to be flashpoints. A thing that might be a genuine mistake in these times can become very, very dangerous. So I don't expect that there will be many of those kind of things, but the administration has to keep its eye on that, doesn't it? To be sure that, you know, there are mechanisms for monitoring all of these things, monitoring the performance of the cabinet, that it is all working the way it was intended, particularly helping the poorest of the poor. I don't know, there might be a more egalitarian way to put it, but helping those who are really desperately in need.
Before I speak to the issue on palliative, I would like to digress a bit, though in the same direction. When the president announced that the subsidy is gone, that famous announcement made by the president, the pronouncement on the May 29 inauguration day.
Yes.
Of course, what comes next is the increment in the pump price of fuel.
Straight.
And we know definitely that everything we do in this country revolves around petrol. And the aftermath of the subsidy removal is the savings that we have been talking about. You know, government is now saving so much of money.
So you're not spending that.
You're not spending
so
that.
We have that.
Instead of borrowing to, you know, to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal by paying NNPC to import fuel and the likes, now we are not doing that, and we have saved a lot of money. If you recall, we have never. This is unprecedented in the history of the country. For July FAC, June-July FAC that were distributed to states. For June and July, we had well over 900 million naira distributed across board. And I expect that Nigerians should hold our government, both at the federal and at the state, even at the local government level, accountable. We have never had it so good. Now, because of the savings from subsidy removal, the states are getting more money. The local government are getting more money. So I expect Nigerians to focus more, because I can't. If I'm aggrieved, I can't say I want to go to Abuja. It will take me so much of money to spend, either to go by road or to go by here to Abuja. If I even get to Abuja, I may not even see the president.
The states, all of them, are certainly getting a lot more money. I think,
yes,
if not double, at least about a third
almost.
More, or
so
half more.
I'm saying that we should focus more on our state governors at this moment, across board.
Yeah,
no exception, because they are getting more money, and it's part of the poverty alleviation, agenda of this government. More money are being pushed. So some people say, well, maybe the president is giving them as a campaign, whatever. I disagree with that. The campaign is gone. We are now into governance, irrespective of whether political party that you belong. Every other governor, in fact, I think got this money.
Perhaps the administration's attitude is that this is not even a bipartisan thing.
Yes.
This is a matter of
We must do it together
agenda,
collectively.
yes.
Nigeria is a collective project of every one of us, whether tribe, whether religion, whether political affiliation, is a project that we must come together and ensure that we get it to a logical conclusion. So I was saying that our focus now should be more on the state governors. They are getting more money. And also, we also expect that should also trickle down to local government.
It will.
If I'm aggrieved, if my council chairman is not doing well, I can go to the council and say, Chairman, what's going on? These roads are bad. These drainage are full. They need to be desilted. What is going on? I can't go to Abuja. Okay. I can even go to Alausa if my governor is not doing well. So we need to focus more now on what the governors at every other state are doing with money that are being collected from the federal government, and when in the issue of palliatives.
Okay, let me take Mr. Garuba calling in from Makrodi before I go back to Nosa. Good morning, Mr. Garuba.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning to your guests in the studio. Okay. This is a kind of technical issue that is trending in Nigeria, honestly. You see, I didn't subscribe.
I can't hear you, but it's not your fault.
That's my uncandid opinion, Uncle Yori.
Okay.
I wanted to get attention of the federal government and the all 1 million Nigerians on the issue of palliative. What they share as a palliative, you will be amazed, Uncle Yori. 1 cup of rice and some pieces of spaghetti with tight oil, even someone that is having children as a palliative. What does that mean? It's an insult to Nigerian citizens. The government has to think and change it. These journalists should go and investigate and find out. This thing happened in Natural State here. It's very bad. So I'm urging the government, whatever issue palliative that they are saying, palliative, it will not work. Create a enabling environment for NSSME to try. I am a businessman. I'm telling you this, Uncle Yeri, I never get it too bad like this. If you can say that I combine my vehicle to Uber, but when I go out, people are angry because the money, the charges they cannot pay. Ask yourself this question. My business is at stake now. I love my job. I have a vulcanizer close to my house. In this vulcanizing business, you buy 1 liter of fuel and put in the machine and pop a tire of motor car or bicycle. They are not coming. What the government need to do to get a way that they can subsidize things that SMEs can use only of being alternative.
Indeed.
You just need another environment that a common man can go to his farm and work. A common man can go to his work and now it is working. You are getting 100,000. Why you go to market? 100,000 will not work for you. We need an enabling environment, a policy.
Indeed.
That will eliminate the suffering. That make our money to get more valued. And people don't put 1 liter of rice, 2 liters of rice is not sustainable. So after the palliative, then what again? Indeed. I don't want you to be listening to people that will come on media and be saying you should meet people on the ground.
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Garuba. I appreciate your calling in. No, sir, picking up that point and also leading on to something else, something that I wanted to talk about, this situation that Garuba spoke about there. Look, credit is one thing that our people have never had the benefit of. And I've heard President Tinubu speak about this. I think it was in the campaign days, but even now, there must be a way that it's going to be worked out so that people can actually approach, institutions and get some credit. I know that it's not as if this will be the first time, but the problem is that people don't like paying back. But that all of this will go onto that changing of mindset thing that we're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Yori. The caller made a very valid remark that Nigerians are angry and things are difficult. That is an acceptable fact. The palliatives is supposed to be a temporary measure, not a permanent measure. So we need permanent solutions. So though I'm not even a fan of the palliatives, my preferred option is to find a way to reduce the price so that cost of transportation and other things can begin to come down. Now, and also in addition to that, we can immediately in the next 3 to 6 months embark on a massive reconstruction projects. Nearly 90% of the roads in Nigeria are in deplorable condition. In my home state of Edo, you cannot go anywhere outside of Edo State without going through gullies on federal roads. These roads can be privatized immediately. Privatize these roads. Julius Berger has a reputable name, and put people back to work. Not only constructing the road, but also have a contract where the organization, Julius Berger, for instance, can manage the roads and collect tolls. So we don't need to deal with bad roads and things like that. Now, people might say, what does that have to do with economy and what have you? It has a whole lot, because of the deplorable nature of our roads, costs of businesses have increased by more than 30% because the cost of transportation has increased. And when transportation cost increases, it is passed on to the consumer. That's number one. Number two, agricultural reforms. Government can actually engage with our banks, because for this government to succeed, our banks need to be repositioned to nation building. Today, my personal view, I don't work in the bank, but my view is that the bank is not in sync with the mission of this government, and even the previous government, the mission of national development. Because today, the banks in Nigeria know to a large extent those Nigerians who are not of very high means, because of, I guess, the amount of money they have in their account, who can even use the bank, first and foremost, to distribute income based on what individuals have in their account over a one-year period. That's number one. Number two, the government can set up a soft loan bank, okay, where those who have businesses and are falling on hard times can take a low-interest loan to be repaid over a period of time. But that's where the rubber meets the road, because the average Nigerian does not have this culture of wanting to pay back their loans. So a lot of education and re-education would have to take place to say, look, if we want to move Nigeria forward, if we want your neighbor to benefit as you are benefiting, then it is your responsibility as a citizen to access these loans and also embark on a repayment plan so that the next man behind can also benefit, so that your children can benefit.
Yes.
And then, of course, on the palliative, we talked about ethanol. Ethanol mandate can create as much as 5 million jobs in our country, because the feedstock for ethanol are cassava, corn, and sugarcane. If we adopt that, which means small individuals, mom and dad, can go and farm cassava, they can farm corn, they can farm sugarcane, and this will be bought immediately and sent to the factories that will process them for ethanol. And let me say this here, that Brazil is a major oil producer.
Yeah.
But they sell all their refined crude oil, both refined and non-refined. They use ethanol to fuel their vehicles 100%. We can do the same,
and
we can benefit.
And that comes from the massive sugar cane plantations, you know. You remember in
plantations. And that will put so many people to work, And then thirdly, which is important here, I did mention this, works, power, and security. If we get those three together, we can improve the lives of our people by a million bounds. For instance, now, there is room to create as much as 5 million jobs in the area of security, to where every square inch in Nigeria will be secured. I think that the presidency should work with the minister for national security to ensure that we put this in place. We can deploy 7 youth corps using technologies and database to.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you. I just wanted to slip in. First of all, Ada is on the line. Good morning, Ada.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Yori and your guest there. It's Ada calling from Jos Plateau State. I can hear him what he's talking about security. You know, everything should be secured. Everything should be secured, and we'll keep having a federal police. Can't we decentralize the police? I don't know what you are running. I feel that if we have a fiscal federalism, that's the way this country will develop. Then Tinubu's bold decision. Yes, they took a bold decision. Yes, I hail him for that, taking that bold step of removing the first company. But then the way it is not properly managed, it will be like digging a new hole to fill an old one. You can see so many companies are closing down. Many people are losing their jobs. Even the palliative, I don't know who suggested that thing to him. Some people collected on the 20 years. Some people got 2 cups of rice. What kind of
that's
palliative is that?
No,
you know,
you're right.
You know,
That's the point that has been made.
They have used that money
point.
to fix certain things in each local government. It would have been better.
Indeed.
You know, all the time, let's not give up on Nigeria.
All right, then. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you especially for keeping it as brief as you did. You know, I don't want us to forget the smallest business person in this town, which is the roadside people. Those little places in abroad, in America, I think they call them mom and pop shops. Those are the people. We don't have mom and pop shops, but somebody who is doing her business, small business, Garba referred to as one such person, a organizer. These are the people that actually prop up the economy. Because when things go bad, Ada was speaking about businesses folding up and moving out. Those don't move out. Pata price will increase, but they are propping up the economy because they are always
they have nowhere to go.
Indeed, and so those people perhaps are needing credit more than all the academic bigwigs who know all about business and who have gone to Harvard and gone to universities to study it. People can do a lot with 10,000 naira, for example. I'm not saying that that's anywhere near adequate, but the point is, instead of being totally desperate, abject, this whole matter of credit, I think they need to look into it because the president is enamored of that idea. Let's start from the very, very beginning before we even get to the level of not needing to pay cash for a car that I want to buy, which we do now. You know that now you got to find all of the money if you want a car, for example. So that is something that I think is going to be very, very helpful to our people as we wind down on the program.
Well, I did a small research before leaving the house, and I discovered that in the Federal Civil Service, we have about 720,000 workers at the federal government level. And in Lagos State, which has the highest in terms, when you compare to every other state in the country, 36 states, Lagos has at the moment about 213,000 workers. Is thinking about moving into about 250 before the year runs out. Put together the number of civil servants that we have in the country, I'm not sure they are up to 1% of the total population. So we still, just like you said, we need to grow our small and medium-scale enterprises. And that's why I'm so happy when the Minister for Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, when he was reading out the 8-point agenda of this government, he said that they are going to ensure more fundings to the small businesses in the country. So that is the way to go. And on the issue of palliative, let me just quickly say something.
Yeah, quickly say that because
I have seen in Borno State, I said we have to hold our governors accountable. We have to hold our council chairman.
You're really on our governor's neck.
Yes,
rightly so,
yes.
Because you've spoken about them before.
So they have done in Borno State. People are carrying big bags, 50 bags of rice on their head. So what is going on in every other state? That people are talking about 1 dereka, 2 derekas. People should learn from what is going on in Borno State. Yeah. And I've also seen our local government chairman in Lagos State. Some of them are they have also done wonderfully well in this regard.
Indeed.
But the palliative is temporary.
It is.
What we need to solve our major problem is to ensure that the government they keep to their promise and bring back our refinery. They have promised that by December, the one in Port Harcourt will start working. And that's a long-term solution to our problem.
Part of the solution,
yes,
along with the many other things that this government is working on towards bringing him on. No, sir, we've run out of time virtually. But I suppose corruption is not the least of all of the problems here. They're going to have to, really shine their eyes, do whatever it is that they do, because it's not business as usual. And we can't be working and going through and tightening all the belts, and then it's being siphoned into some big bags pockets. So we don't have the time to really talk about it, so we'll probably talk about this some more. But if you'd like to speak briefly about that whole matter of corruption and how we must be single-minded about it.
Yeah, that is very important. Thank you so much. One of the biggest threats to the survival of Nigeria is corruption. And we need to change the mindset. Let me use the president's word. That is why we talk about culture change. We have a culture in Nigeria today that is permissible to corruption. When people are caught looting public resources, a section of the country will say, forgive him, it's the devil that made him do it. No, we must begin to say, no, if you steal public funds, you have committed mass murder. Just imagine if you are a minister for works and transport and resources meant for roads end up in your pocket. And we have 10,000 people dying on our roads.
Yes.
You are responsible for that.
So that culture of impunity
accountable
has to end.
Impunity must change.
Well,
it must change. And Nigerians, if I might just say quickly, governance, the biggest impact to our people is the activities at the state and local levels. Therefore, the presidency should set up a project performance monitoring team to ensure that money being given as palliatives are monitored in terms of how they are being spent and those who are getting it. So that if it doesn't get there, then subsequent funds should not be given to those states. Federal government can then take over the ownership of the process to deliver this to our people. Because our people are hurting. And this president wants to serve the people. And we must help the president achieve that objective.
We're going to have to leave it there. And I believe that I heard that they're setting up some sort of a review, a peer review sort of mechanism locally so that these things will be monitored. And thank you very much, Nosa Osaiku, Certified Project Manager, reaching us from Texas there, Nigerian Human Rights Community. Thank you very much, Nosa. Okay, and, our appreciation to you as well, Taiwo Olakpade, broadcast journalist and public affairs analyst. Indeed, thank you very much for your insight.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow when we'll have something else that we're talking about. I'm Yori Falarin. Bye-bye for now.
It's a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Are you worried about the safety and security of your home at night? Do you wish to know when intruders come close to your home? Or do you want to protect what matters to your family from anywhere at any time? What if there was a convenient, affordable way to keep surveillance in your home without having to worry about wires, installations, or heavy light bills? Introducing the incredible Sidebulb HD Cam, the robotic